Well, hello and welcome to Material Monday. So I'm going to unveil this piece now. Well, you can see the back end. The last time you saw it, I think I'd done the beading, hadn't I? But I've added some additional beadings, which you'll see. And I said I wanted to add some red stitching, and I've done an abundance of stitching. So I'm going to unroll it and then we'll take a closer look, and maybe if I come out you'll be able to see it in its entirety and you'll see all the other bits around me. But that's it in its entirety, and let me come in a bit so that you can see. Okay, so this is the top part, and so I've just added stitching and I've crossed it with different colours as well. So I may have done that before. I think the red was the last thing I've added, and I like the way that the beads are. Just sitting here thinking about, just with the green, I'm going to see what green I do have and see if there's any that matches this, that I might just interject little washes of green, and then that's it. So I really like these. So I've had these beads for the longest. These I got in a charity store, and they just sat in my container for years, and I guess that's the way it is sometimes with the supplies that we have. We move on to new things and then we come back and we think, oh, that'll actually work in this area. And I like the different threads, the colours, and then overall looking at it, it's quite impressive. I like it. But yeah, I'm thinking a green thread. I had done these little red stitches and I was going to fill these bits in, but I just wasn't feeling it. But now I'm talking about the green thread. I think the green thread would make a nice addition, just as I've done this, just some short stitches just to do that, and then I think it will be complete. And then I'll also look at some backing fabric, and I'll show you the ones that I've got in mind. So this piece is near its completion. I'm feeling it now. It's like I'm feeling that this top bit has got all it needs to have. It's funny, it's just a feeling of completeness. Maybe just this area. If I'm seeing any gaps, it's just like, do you really need anything there or not? So it's just now these areas, because they do feel incomplete, and I'm looking at, these are my green threads, and I want them to match up with these green beads that we have here. So I may be able to do it, or I may not be able to do it. Actually, I like this one. So these are two slightly different ones, though they look very similar, but this one is brighter, and that's the same as that. That's a darker green. I've got this that green, and then a pale green, and then say like a leafy green. They are different shades of green. I don't have the names for them. I think this one is that. This is a slightly brighter one. I think. Oh, see, these are all different shades of green, and not one of them matches. Not one of them is the exact colour. So I'm going to choose the nearest one, and what I'll also take into consideration is the colour of green that we've got down here. So immediately I can see we've got this one and this one, so those two, and we've got a kind of a very pale green here. So and I'm thinking this one, which I've got this one threaded out, not unwound, so it might look like, it looks like we're going to choose that one. Yeah, I'm going to move these other greens out of the way and then just get another look to see. I can remove the colours that I definitely know I don't want, so I'm not feeling this one. I'm not feeling this deep green. Or that one, or that one. I'm not feeling that one. I like this one, but no. And this one is just a deeper shade of that. Can you see the difference? Anyway, it doesn't matter, but yeah, it's a slightly darker shade of green. Do you want to come in? Come closer. Okay, you still can't really see it, but I'll tell. Yeah, you can see the kind of this is brighter. Anyway, so sorry about that. So we're using that one, and I'm going to pick up green in here, and maybe some spatterings up here. Yeah, so I'm going to pick up the green in this bit. So that's one of the things that we'll do today. And just thinking of this project overall, I have taken a break, sort of like a week or two, and shown you other things. And I think that's important to come back refreshed, and just you're able then to look at your project. You may not want to take 2 weeks. I mean, I was doing other stitching, so I was still keeping my hand in. You're never gonna not know how to stitch. But let's look at some back ends that I was thinking of. So I had these have been hand dyed, sort of like tie dyed, but they're not wide enough, so I couldn't put them as a back in, and the colour's off. It's not the colour I need. And I may have to, I do have some more of these pieces that I've stitched on, so it's to find them. They may be in my other storage container, but that's that's like a mission to get to. So and this one was painted fabric, and that's a possibility. And this has got an embossed image on it, and then I painted on it. So there's areas, yeah, there's quite dark, and the thing that this picks up is the red in this piece, but obviously it'll be on the back, so you wouldn't necessarily see it. And then I've got to decide, so let me just pull this out. like so. And then I've got to decide what I'm going to do with the edges. So I was thinking that I put like a little band here, but I want to keep these frayed edges and I want to stitch on the band. And I was thinking, I'm just going to show you what it looks like on top of the black, because I liked that, the way it looked. Let me just put that there. So I was thinking like a thin band, a thin band there, but what I wanted to do was take the white stitching and go into the band. So I'm going to do that all around. So that's not for today, but I'll either use the black. The only black that I have is this bit here, but I still like the contrast. So the dark blue, the other material that I have, wouldn't necessarily. I could potentially use it under here as a backing. So I mean, doing backings, I mean, I have done quite a few fabric wall hangings, so I'm not totally new, but it always feels like I'm new to this, because the method kind of seems to change slightly at each time I have a large piece like this. So yeah, so I'm thinking of having a piece like this that I will stitch into and continue the design down here, and then on the back of it have, you know, the backing, and stitch it to the backing. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing that it's going to be loose, because I've got all the beading and stuff like that, so there may be areas where I can, you know, make it so that it's flat. It's not necessarily going to be totally flat, so we'll see how we get on. Yeah, so we'll see how we get on, but first what I want to do in this session is do some stitching around here, and we'll just have a little chat. And I may just, when I'm ready, because I'm going to need a break from this again, so when I'm ready I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you the finished piece. If you want to know how I do the backing, I will do it on a smaller piece and show you, but you'd have to leave a comment and let me know. Okay, so let's get on. Yes, so how have we been? How have we been doing? I hope you've been well, and that you are trying some stitch projects yourself, and that you have been inspired by some of the projects I've been working on, and that you've tried some of the techniques. That's really the main thing, to try some techniques. Okay, so I'm going to take off a piece here. And then I use, I take separate the strands. So there's six strands to the thread, and and I'll just take off one. It's up to you how the look that you want. Okay, so I'll see how this goes, and I might start in a small area first, and then if it works, it will just feel right. It's feeling right in the sense of I didn't want to have to stitch in here, so that's how I knew that I wasn't to add any more red. I was thinking of maybe doing the red horizontally. I'm going to do this little spot up here and just see how I feel. So the stitches that I've been adding have just been a straight stitch, but you can get a variety of different looks from doing the stitch, because you can then create patterns with it. And there are some really intricate patterns that you can... Sorry for coming in so fast. Yeah, there's some really intricate patterns that you can use. So, and it is really just to enjoy. What did I do? Okay. I started at the wrong spot. Let me see if this will work. You have to get it in the... Okay. Okay, so this is just a small spot to just let me test out the colour and see how I feel about it. I think it's near enough that what's going on here? Yeah, I think it's near enough. It doesn't have to be exact. And it's just to really give us some highlights of the colours that I've used in the piece. And yeah, just to give it a look. Can you stitch and talk at the same time? So I'm liking the colour. Let's move this out of the way. And yeah, I never thought that I would be doing embroidery or any stitched project. I had done some earlier on, and that was more to be able to use the beads, all the beads that I had brought, and I was painting figures on my pieces and then adding the bead, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But I never knew how relaxing working with the stitching was. And I showed you my stitch kit, the stitch book. So there's 50, I was doing, it was 100, it started out as a 100-day project, and I got to 50 and it was just like, I don't want to do any more stitching. I don't want to do any more stitches in this book. This always happens when you've got a longer piece of thread. You just have to be careful. And I might not be able to salvage that. So, let's just have, I'll have to cut that. Okay, so I'm just gonna, what I do is just knot this off. Like so, and let me just cut it. You just have to be careful. And yeah, I was going to cut that anyway. So yeah, I didn't realise how therapeutic it was going to be. And this happened during the big pause that we had. So I think I've spoken in other videos where I've said, for me it was like, this was the thing that you had control over. So doing the slow stitches was actually, you know, affirming that I had control over my situation. I could control my pieces. Now I'm wondering whether to follow a shape or just do the stitches straight. So I just have to give that some thought. Whether to do just straight stitches here. I'm going to start here. And I'm going to follow this curve. Well, I'm going to follow the curves rather than do a straight stitch. Like rather than do horizontal or vertical stitches, but I'm just going to follow the white thread. So I'm doing alternate so where the white stitches is, so every other one, like so you can see here. Can you? There. Sorry about that. And I realise I can't talk so much and stitch, so I will show you this in speed it up slightly. You can slow it down if you want by 50%, and that will give you or not. Just see the bit come alive, but as you can see, the colours corresponding with these, which was what I wanted, and it will all just be what it needs to be, and then just fill up the space. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I like that. I think, yeah, that's what it needed. But following the circles. That's what I'm going to do. So follow each of the circles, and they'll each have a little highlight of the green thread. Okay, so I'm gonna continue with this. Okay, so let's come in and you can see the green a bit more closely. There you go. So I've just literally taken it around the circles and the circles of white stitches. And then in this bit I just followed the blue horizontal line. But stitch wise, it feels complete. So I will let this sit for a few days and then go back to working on, actually I was going to fill this, need the blue. Okay, I'm going to just fill this bit up and then that will be it. And I need, yeah, it's just the backing now. So I hope you enjoyed that, and again you were inspired and took something away from it, even if you just sat and just spent time with me while you were stitching as well. But yeah, it's amazing when I think how this started, and it was just a piece of fabric and then I did some shibori dyeing technique on there, and now it's yeah, complete. So the next time you'll see this, it will have its backing, and what I'm feeling right now at the moment is to have a black border and then the stitches, the white stitches, come out. I've got some, it's cotton thread, but it's like a shimmery, and I might use that to tie that in, so we'll see. But I really like it, and I like all my pieces. And yeah, it's, as I say, it's good to just sit a while, maybe a few days, and just have the, spend time. The process is the best thing, so spend time selecting the backing. I mean, even though it's not what people are going to see, but having a piece finished well is really important, and you'll feel good when you do it. Alright, so I'm going to leave it there. So I wish you well, and I wish you lots of creative success, and I'll see you again. Take care.